Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you. All right, let's move quickly on this. Let me know if you see the screen.
All right. What are we going over tonight?
We're just first checking the TILA admin, like the changes which we were discussing, we will keep fixing.
Okay.
So on the admin side, there are many things has been done. So we just quickly once go through. So here the other things we remove, like the ID or the case ID and other thing, and just showing the task, and that to be the task which is actually related to the admin only, like assign case to VP, assign case to VP, form name, the priority, and the status. That's it.
Perfect.
And those boxes I need to revisit, so I'll let you know. It's not yet. And the next thing was change the users to team. So now it is team.
Perfect.
And then we can see all the members once, and then we can filter out. If you want to see a VP user, we can see only VP users, so active status comes. If you want to see form admin, so only form admin will come. And if you want to see the TILA admin, so TILA admin will come.
Will this show the firm users as well, or is it just the admins?
Just the admin, I guess. So users, I was thinking like users belongs to form admin. So if you want, we can pull the data. If you don't want.
No, I don't think we'll need to do that. I think we'll basically, that should be fine. Is there a way that we can actually remove the firm admins out of the team folder? Because we already have a section off to the left there for firms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if we even need them in there. I think that could be just used for the TILA people. That might be better.
Yeah, we can do this. I'll remove form admin from here. And the search is working.
Okay.
Search, and then perfect. Just pop up.
It looks like it's moving a lot faster too.
Yep. And then moving to forms, and I guess team member. Let me see what is there. Yes. So if the email is already in use, we don't lose the data like name and the
Okay.
type we select. Only
Uh,
user has to, yeah.
I was
Only
just going to say, can we keep the email address there as well? Because if it was just a typo in the email field, like they added a
all right,
.com instead of .co or something like that, that
all
way the
right,
data is still there for them.
sure, that can be done too. Fix it. Then moving to form. In the form we have like CMS and VP service, two type of forms, so we can always filter it out, and then we can see the active one and inactive ones.
Perfect.
Same with VP service, active, inactive.
Awesome.
And by default, I guess you said to show active ones, and
Yep.
he's trying to show all the status. So I asked him to just change this to be active one only. So by default, it will come like all account types and active.
Yep. Perfect.
And further, they can CMS or anything they can select and they can do it.
Awesome. That looks great.
And moving with this form, yes. So editing a form, like here the form name, email address. So this needs to, little word needs to change, join date. He'll fix that. I said him yesterday. Then the form ID, admin username, this is what you wanted to replace. Then account type and the status.
Perfect.
And then we can change anything from here except the account type. We can change even the email address. As you said, they may have different email in the future if someone is moving and other one is joining, so that can be done.
Perfect.
So this is fine. Then now here what the changes has done is like number of cases, clients, users for this form, and the leads you wanted to add, like how many leads they have.
Perfect.
And the lifetime value is more like how much actually they paid to the Tila admin, so they can see this. And so then task.
And then for the tasks themselves, are we able to make those clickable so that way we can go directly to that task from here? So that way we don't have to go back to task and try and find it.
Actually, yeah, these tasks depend related to this form. So
those aren't Tila tasks. Those aren't for the Tila admin. These ones here are just tasks that the firm has set up on their end.
Yes, but I was thinking like it should be like I asked this to him, like to have firm task, but so far he's displaying the admin task for this firm. So I guess admin task would be better, right?
Yeah,
because
admin tasks would be great here, and then just make them linkable or pop up in a modal or something like that. So that way we don't have to go to the task. We can just go straight to this thing, find out what's happening on there, and then be able to modify that task.
Okay, I'll make this clickable. So only clickable work is left here.
Yeah, thank you.
And then again moving to firm, and what else we have here? That's a status. It's making inactive. So this making inactive and making asking for user to pay, so that work is left. Like if it is inactive, made by inactive by the admin, and then they have to pay depending on number of users, so that is still need to fix. Is working on that. Then moving to the calendar. Yeah, so calendar is I asked him to make a few more changes, like basically here what you're trying to achieve is now like having a box like do not show more than 5, 6 or 7, and then we'll have a plus button or more button, and then a pop-up will come. So that is something he's working on it. And then the plus button and the event title and the date. That's it, because I guess admin just need these two information to put it up for them. And color work will be done. So that is again left. Yeah. Then moving to the tasks. So by default, we just show the open task. So what and all open, which is not here to addressed by the admin. So
Okay.
task and form name, priority, and the status. The
Perfect.
only thing which I was thinking yesterday while talking to him, like we don't have, like you asked us to remove case ID. So how admin will come to know, like, see, because once he comes here, like assign a case to VP, he just go here and he just select the VP and assign. But which case he is assigning, he does not know that.
Well, we should probably have a field there of the case type, because it doesn't matter what the case ID is or any of that, but the case type might be helpful when they're assigning someone. Because if
Yeah,
it's a really large case type, then they might assign it to someone who doesn't have a large workload, rather than,
yes,
oh, it's
because
just a new
it's,
case kind of thing.
yeah, because they should know something like, yeah, this is about the case, which case exactly.
Yep,
We'll have
exactly.
case type here, and yeah, so this is, and on this edit, we are not showing, asking him to edit any kind of priority. So it's always like if the case is assigned, so it is a high priority, and then they can select the user,
Perfect.
and then it will go.
Yeah, that looks great.
And the completed task, so they can see all the tasks which are completed here.
Perfect.
Then moving to the setting. Here in the email part, he is working like if anything we change here, let's change this. Hello, first message. So it is hello now, and if you want to revert it back to the original one, like what was there earlier, we just click, are you sure you want to undo this message? Okay,
Perfect.
so the messages came back.
And it'll
What was,
always go back to the original one, right?
yes, so far it is like that. So I wanted to ask, like, do we need with the previous copy, or we want to have the original one?
Nope, just the original one, for now. That's all they requested. So if
Okay.
they want to make it so that we retain the original plus revisions, we can add that to a future phase.
All right.
That's not in the
But
scope of work. So.
so once we will have to add all the original ones, because yes, I like based on the document what you sent, so we can put all the original ones first, and then they can do any kind of
Yep,
modification.
exactly.
So just copy and paste.
Perfect. Thank you.
So this is email and the app connection. Yeah, I guess there was no change in the app connection. And the app setting too, there wasn't any change. Yes, I guess that's it on the admin side, like they did. And now they're moving to the form, and the form, I guess, what he has completed. Let me see. Yes, so in the form, like on the top box, total clients, total case completed, and total leads. So only the change which I asked him to have total leads to be placed with this, and the case and completed case will come here. So
Perfect.
that will match.
Yep.
And then the 10 upcoming tasks we are showing here for the form. So we are logged in as a form account, same as form. And then document rejected, all sort of tasks. Only the tasks which belongs to this form will appear here. And then they can go to the detail page from here. And I guess task type, client, my task case is task is okay. So in the task once you go, and then he can see all the tasks which is related or which is actually coming up for him to fix up. But
Perfect.
other way, we also made a tab like which he's creating for himself, like this form, which is probably like it is specific to the case or something.
Okay. So
Yes.
for the My Tasks tab,
Yeah.
this is all of the one that are assigned to the user that's logged in, or is this all of the tasks for the firm?
Only for the firm, like who's logged in.
Firm. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can maybe add a replace case tasks with firm tasks? That way it's my tasks, which are the ones assigned to me, the person logged in, and then we have firm tasks, which is everybody in the firm. These are
Sure.
kind of what's happening is the big total thing.
Yeah, that's right. We can do this. So that will make more sense. Upload up section in the case page. Sales client. Sales client page. On the case document. So here, like all the documents which has been requested for a case, and then we made another tab which is called case documents. So firm can always upload document related to the case here.
Okay.
And all what he's doing, like what we made like in the client section for this specific client, if any of the documents get uploaded, so always it will appear to the case which is actually belongs to this client, so they can always see all the documents.
Okay. Can we, since we're in the case details, can we just flip the two tabs where case document shows up first and then all document shows up second?
Sure. Or basically this actually this is not the all document, this is more like a requested document related to the
Oh,
case.
okay. Then let's just change the name of it. Yeah, that works.
Because a
If we can just
requested
change the name of
document
it
and
to
the case
requested
document,
documents and then the case documents. Yep, easy. Let's just do that.
so that's much easier because requested is more like which is getting requested.
Yep,
So
exactly.
yes, I guess so far these have been completed. So that's all I've shown you. Further is working today on other, first fixing all the minor ones, and then we'll move to the major ones around the form, more likely on the
Okay.
form, and then few on the admin too.
Okay.
So there was one question which we were discussing. It's more like in the forms, I guess today you even sent a flow that that's one.
Mm-hmm. Does that answer the question? I don't know if that helps or not.
Yeah, well, like that make more sense. Like this is a VP form, right? VP type
Correct.
form, and this
Yep.
is a CMS form.
Yep.
So as we discussed, like once a case get created, so we know the type and everything. So the
Mm-hmm.
forms which actually belongs to a case will automatically appear over there in the form section. Like
Only
like
for VP
related to the
users. So for VP assigned cases, the case type will automatically add all the forms that are required. For a CMS case, it is up to the firm to be able to add the appropriate form. It's confusing, but that's the big difference between the auto-populated and the non-auto-populated. So if the firm, whether it be a VP only or CMS, if they pay the VP for VP services, then it auto-populates what forms are required. If a CMS creates a case, chooses the case type, but does not pay for VP services, they do not get the auto-populated forms.
Okay,
They have to
so
manually go
they'll
in and
see
add one
all
by
the
one.
forms, and
Yep.
they'll see all the forms, or only specific the forms which is
Nope,
related.
they'll have access to all of it. So they create a case, they choose the case type, and then it's up to them to go in and add the correct forms.
All right. So if they are paying for the VP, then all the forms will auto-populate over there.
Correct.
They don't need
Yep.
to. So we'll not have an add new button over there.
Yeah, they'll still be able to add a new button because of the family member thing. One case might have multiple family members, and then each family member gets their own whatever form it is for that specific case. Um, so there might be just the auto-populated ones, but then because there's 10 family members, they might have to add 10 additional forms to that case because of the family members. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
more like once they're adding more forms for the family member. So again, the form will be like will be filtered form, right? All the forms which is actually belongs to this case, or
Mhm.
actually which is the type belongs to this type of case. So they'll not be able to see the other forms, right? Even while they're adding.
Nope, they'll be able to see any forms. If it's a VP paid case, the VP is basically providing all of the forms, but the VP will need to be able to add and edit forms, as will the CMS users. They will need to also be able to add and edit forms.
Okay.
The only thing basically is for a VP paid case, the biggest thing is that TILA wants the VP to have access to the forms so they don't forget one. So all of the required forms are automatically added to the VP side of things, and then the VP just goes through and fills out the information. And then on the CMS side, if they want to add an additional form or anything like that, they're welcome to add extra ones. But it's just like kind of like expedites the process. So they don't have to remember to add all of these different forms. It just does it for them automatically. That's part of
Okay.
the thing that they pay for.
Got it. So, but in terms of, like having a case here, we are not mentioning the family member, like if it is belongs to a family, like maybe they have 10 family members. So how
Mhm.
do we actually map that here?
That one, I'd actually refer back to that YouTube video. They actually go into detail on the family member section on that. So as you go into add a case, you basically add a client and then add the case to that client. And then underneath of that, you can add additional family members into it. So we'll need to be able to replicate something similar to that. I can send you a link to the video. I have it bookmarked
All right.
because it's,
Yeah, because that will be a change in the case flow. So that will much better, like if you get the correct one. So
yep.
it'll save time.
I just sent it to you in Skype, so you should be able to have access to that pretty quick, hopefully.
All right, I'll take a look. Yes, I guess that needs to be changed here, and we're good after that.
Yep. I think that's the only thing that we're missing from the cases is adding in the family members. Yep.
All right. Yeah. So, what about like the VP form only, like in the VP? So yeah, VP form. So in that way, like they don't even able to add the family member, right? Because they don't even have a client over there.
Correct. So in that case they're actually paying for the case itself on every single case. So they don't have a need to be able to add family members to it. What will end up happening is TILA admin will get a note from the VP stating, hey, there's 10 family members on this. We need to charge extra for the added family members. TILA admin will then create an invoice to be able to send to the firm to pay. And then the VP will just go ahead and add them to that existing case. So it's just a manual process change on the TILA admin side, not anything that we have to actually build into the system for the VP users or VP firms. At
Makes
this
sense.
point, that might change on round 2 or phase 3, but right now there's no extra addeds for that.
Sure. All right. So far this much, and I guess we'll see how it goes today, and we can see more progress.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, I thoroughly appreciate it.
No worries. It's all our pleasure. Like it's more like it should be finished as per the expectation. That is more important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know if there's anything else that we need to do on this side here. Did you want to go over anything else related to TILA or not?
No, that was only question about the forms we had.
Okay.
So that has been cleared. And the other question which was there about the email thing, which you cleared out. So I guess nothing so far, because as we are doing on a daily basis, so if any question will come, because we're going point to point, like which we are fixing. So anything comes up, I'll ask you on the
Yep.
same day.
Okay. Perfect. Did you want to talk about the wireframes that I sent over, or
Yes,
I
I
don't know
went
how much
through.
time you have for that kind of
No,
thing.
I
So,
went through. We can look once. I checked yesterday.
and I added some more. I don't know if I actually uploaded them yet, but
No, it's not here. So the purpose of this portal is basically to bring all the clients on this portal, or this portal will be even you are actually making commercial for to sell, how exactly it is, or it is only going to be used for the Stout.
so our thought process is to only use it for us. Now, because of the specific nature of this, um, I don't know if other companies would really have a need for it because it's so specific to how we work. But I mean, it's always a possibility down the road that we might be able to open it up to do it as a software as a service program or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me grab this real quick. Projects. All right, well, let's go over this stuff here real quick. So I kind of put this all into weird placement and everything like that. And I kind of started with the calendar feature here. So the calendar feature, all of the pages that I sent over so far are admin related. So this would be an employee of ours, or a contractor, project manager, developer, stuff like that. And this is essentially what they would see. After they log into the portal, they would normally see the dashboard up front, which is one of these other ones. It's one more over, one more. Keep going. Sorry. Keep going. These are calendar pages.
This one. Company for company. Okay,
These are
so
contact.
Company name.
Contacts still, contacts. Keep going. There we go. Okay, here's the dashboard. So when you log in, this is essentially the very first thing that you'd see. We basically have our announcements block. And as an admin, we're able to have access to the plus button to add a new announcement. And then on the right panel there, you see my tasks, and then it has it broken down to the 3 different statuses. We have the 25 new, we have 10 tickets that are in blocked, we have 36 that are in progress, and then below that we basically have the most recently updated tasks that are assigned to me, or that I'm assigned as a watcher on. And then they're just in most recent to oldest, with a button to view all. And then I'd actually like to swap that with the appointments, because if you have an appointment or something like that booked, then you'd want to see that more importantly than the tasks. But does that page make sense?
Yes, like announcements, like if you talk about my task is more like task is how exactly it is pulling up, like how we are getting the task here. It's being added from somewhere. Like
Yeah, so actually that's part of the projects portion that I have I don't think I sent over to you yet, so I'll have to screenshot that and send that over. So that way you have access to that too.
Like more like on the ClickUp, we do add the task, so it will come like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you basically add the tasks there, and I'll upload all this stuff to you so that you can see them as we roll through it. But for right now, basically it'll be similar to ClickUp, but it'll be built into the system here.
My appointments and the reports.
Actually, here, let me do this. This might be easier. Let me share my screen.
Dashboard makes sense. Okay.
Because this might be easier. All right. Can you see my screen? Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
All right. So let me change it over here so that we can actually go into that. So the dashboard is here. So you can't see where I'm pointing to, but the announcements area, they have my tasks. So tasks are created from the, and then you can see that I've updated the, actually I can do a little writing here. You can see that we added the projects over here in the menu area. And then this is the main project dashboard, essentially. It just has a row of 4 different projects across it. We have the ability to do a header with a search, adding a new project, and then it'll just be infinite scrolling as you scroll through it. It'll just load more and more and more as you scroll down the page. Does that part make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then we get down to, if we open up one of these projects, then this is what that dashboard looks like for that specific project. We just kind of like a Trello board where we have open tasks, working tasks, blocked tasks, and completed tasks with the tasks in them just as little cards. If you click on one of those or add one, this is what that would look like. We have the task name, the time log, the members that are assigned to that task, due date, status, description of the task, and then any checklists that are available, as well as the comments. And then we'll just have reply boxes and a new comment button as we go through that process. And this is just a pop-up modal. You can see it's grayed out for the process there.
But the task may be like over there, like we have 8 tasks which are completed. And once we click on this, so which one will get open here? Like all the 8?
So no, actually, if you just click on the specific one, so like if we just click on that one, this is what opens up. So like if, for instance, this one here has 2 of them, this would be one link and then that would be one link.
All right.
And then either one would open up the option there. And then it'll open up the modal, you have access to it. And then if we're going in to create a new project, so I kind of jumped around a little bit. So if we use this button to create a new project, this is what shows up. We'll have the project name, we'll have what type it is, if it's internal or an external. External meaning it's linked to clients or a company account. Then we would have team members or clients that are assigned to it. And the team members portion is for our internal team. If it is a external client, we'll actually have a section down here to add the specific clients. We can add a company or an individual client within a company. Then we can set what status they have or access they have, read only, read and comment, or edit, or where they can create their own tasks, and etc. As well as the way to be able to link it to a specific order. So if they purchased a web design that has multiple phases, they have the ability to link that. And then we'll get to the phases portion down here, but the different clients will be able to sync up to that. We have the templates and the description of that project as a whole. We have 3 buttons down below, one to cancel this new project, one to create it but not send a notification, and then one to create and then notify anybody that was linked.
Okay.
Then down here is the template section where we can actually go into the project's templates. We can add a project template. And then in here, we can actually see the different phases, the different tasks that are associated to that template, with the ability to duplicate if we want to, and filter it by, you know, whatever it is. Then down here, if we were in a new project template area, you can see here that we're creating a new template name. These are the number of phases that have been added. These are the number of tasks that have been added to those phases. And then we can basically outline what all of the phases are. And then we can go in and add tasks within those phases. If we click the button here, we then come down to a pop-up modal that basically is adding the phase. We have the discovery is the name of the phase. We have the description, the status, the default status when it's created, autocomplete. So basically, if all the tasks have been marked as completed, then this entire phase is also marked as completed by default. Then we have the option to add tasks button, what those tasks are, priority, etc. And then if we do add a task, this is essentially what we see. Add a task to the phase, what's the name, time estimate, time tracked, if we're automatically adding 2 hours for the demo or whatever it is, a description of that task, a relative due date. So when it is created, we can say, okay, this phase is, or this task is due 3 weeks from when it's created, or we can leave it blank because it's not a required field. We can automatically assign it to people, set a priority, create a status, create the checklist, and add any default attachments that are ready to go. We can then click cancel or create a task, create the task, then brings us back to here so that we can do the same process over again. Does that make sense? It's as far as I've gotten so far.
Yes, it's making sense because even I'm comparing what the current tools what we are using. So
yep.
Does
make
sense.
That's how I wanted to kind of base it off of too, because it's like, I really like the tools that we have, but nothing that we have is integrated where a client could be basically easily added to it. So we have to add everyone to ClickUp, and then we have to add everyone to Workplace, and then we have to add everyone to the billing, and then we have to add everybody to this other tool. Like it's just too much, which is why I'm looking at this. Okay. All right, so then we can talk about the calendar. So the calendar portion is pretty straightforward. It's really simple, or similar to the app that you put together for Tila. Basically, when you log in and you click My Calendar, whoops, that's not good. We basically have access to only my appointments. You have access to my calendar. I can see kind of what my Outlook looks like. I can view it in agenda view, a day, week, or month by default. Maybe week by default, we can get there. The G here is a quick link to connect this app to the calendar that I'm trying to connect to or sync that up with, which would be a 2-way sync, forward and back. And then I have the ability to sort May, 2020 or whatever the case is. If I am not connecting my calendar to this, then this G is just all gray. So it's just grayscale instead of the color, indicating if it's been connected or not, keeping things a little bit simple. Within this here, we have the ability to view on this side, the menu, we have the ability to do the pending appointments, and then I can either approve an appointment or decline an appointment, but I can see contact name, the company, the appointment type, month, day, year, start and end times of the requested time. When we decline a appointment, it'll automatically send a reschedule option to the client so they can pick a different time. Or maybe we'll have an option to say, unfortunately, we can't take you on as a client, or some note once we click the decline as to why we declined that appointment. When we do approve, then it'll just add that appointment into our calendar. And then if we have it synced, then it'll automatically sync with G Suite as we go. And then we have the calendar settings area where we can basically create appointment types for clients and companies to be able to book on our schedules. They can't view what other appointments are, but they can view that we have that time blocked out. We can see that this is the staff member for a project consultation. This specific appointment type is active, and the day and time that this appointment type was created, with the ability to edit, manage availability, and etc. If we come into here, we have the ability to set our default availability for every single day of the week, and then we can add multiple windows of availability, so people are able to block out a lunch hour or whatever we need to at that point.
Right.
Then down here for the actual scheduling portion, we can set the amount of padding between appointments, the start time intervals. So someone, if I have it at 15 minutes, they can book on 0, 15, 30, 45, and 0. They can't book on, at 12, 10. It just won't let them do it. And then we can set a lead time for my calendar of X number of days, hours, or minutes, where if they want to book an appointment, they can't book anything closer than 30 minutes. So if it is, they want to book it in 15 minutes and technically I have the time available, they can't. They have to wait until 30 minutes out. That gives me time to be able to prepare for any meeting or anything like that they've requested. And then the future availability option here provides access so they can actually choose any day within the next 45 days to be able to book an appointment. And then that gives me ample time to be able to set days off or whatever the case is to block out time on my Google Calendar, which will sync back to this. And then jumping around a little bit more from here, if we were to click on the appointment, add appointment type, it'll jump down to here where we're actually creating an appointment type, the name, description, the appointment duration, so how long that appointment actually is, as well as the appointment padding. So before and after the appointment, we're going to set aside 15 minutes.
Okay. So it will be by default 15 minutes?
Yeah, by default it's 15 minutes, but they have the ability to change it to an hour, half hour, whatever they want from there. Prep time, again, is very similar to the lead time, where basically for this specific appointment, I want to have 1 hour of prep time leading up to it blocked out, which is not the actual padding itself. And then we have cancel and reschedule time. So within 1 day, they cannot cancel or reschedule. They have to either show up or email us to cancel. They can't do it on their own. Then we can set whatever the success message is, a success redirect URL, so we can actually redirect that user to a thank you for registering page or whatever we want. We can have it set to auto redirect, or they have to click a success button. We can have it as a hidden appointment, so we can send them a portal URL where they can book a specific appointment, which is created when we click create appointment type. Then it has approval required, yes or no. And if it's a Zoom meeting, we can integrate the Zoom API to create a scheduled meeting link for that meeting.
More like a calendar, like if you see the Google Calendar, what you see for the booking an appointment. So they do have such options.
Yep, exactly. So this is a lot of that. We use a program called Book Like a Boss, and it's similar to, but Book Like a Boss has 1,000 more features that we never use, and these are the core things that we use on a daily basis for that. But does that make sense? I want to, before going into that.
Yes, me too. So far, like creating calendar and blocking the time, and then based on that, they'll not be able to book another appointment for the same time, I guess. So yeah, makes sense so far.
Okay. back out of this. All right.
Settings.
So then what's next here? We have contacts, which is this one here. So this is the contacts companies dashboard. So the way that we look at our contacts and clients is mainly as companies, and then underneath the companies, we have individual contacts. So we basically split it up so that we have companies is essentially the parent of the contact. And then underneath of companies, we then have the company's contacts. So who can we talk to at that company? We don't have very many non-business clients. Actually, I don't think we have any non-business clients. All of our clients are B2B. So we basically have the company section there. And then we have it kind of filtered out here. We have companies, search for company, actions, import a list, or create a new company. And then down here, we basically just have a table broken out to just the company name, the create date, the last contact date, and then any other column data that we want to add. Sorry. In there. And it's paginated, so we can go 25 per page or whatever the case is on that, and it'll just cycle through. We also have this option here, which is a My Companies option. And My Companies are basically just the companies that are assigned to me as, the owner is the wrong word, but the like the project manager for that company or the account manager of that company that's assigned to me, then it'll show up in the My Companies area. That'll allow us to be able to quickly access what we need to access and filter out the stuff that's irrelevant to us. If we were to go into a specific company, so if we were to just select one of these, this is what essentially would show up here. We can see the company name, company, and then a quick access section here, which is the company name itself. I'm sorry, you can't even see that. So we have access to the company name here, then the company website, and then these action buttons here are going to be the quick access. So if you click on this one, that's going to create a note for this project, kind of like a CRM, very similar to HubSpot if you're used to that. This one here would create an email. This one here would log a phone call that you've had. This one here is just a data log. This one here is a task for that company. This one here is to add a meeting to that company. Each one of those plays a critical role, and then it actually will add basically one of these blocks here. One of those blocks itself is what that item is. Did we send an email? Did we do a phone call with it? What was the subject of the call? What did we talk about? What was the outcome? You know, that kind of stuff. Just quick and easy for us to be able to do that. Then down on this bar here, we're talking about the company. We're going over the name, domain, industry, phone number, kind of all of the specs that we have about that company, so that we're able to then classify each company, how we can filter it and be able to use that data to make better decisions running the business. This part up here is really important. That one there is the related contacts. And that basically just shows a list of contacts right here. It's the exact same thing as this dashboard, except it says all contacts and then my contacts. It's literally the only difference between those. So far, is this making sense?
Yes, so it's more like we are trying to build a company here, and all the related information, and having the log of each of the like maybe it's a phone or email or anything. So we are just
all the interactions. I think that's the best way to say it, is all the interactions get logged in this, and it just newest is on top, and then oldest just kind of falls down as we go through it. And then we have the filters here. So if I click on any one of those, it'll only show me all of the emails in the same format. Let me just filter it out, or all the tasks or all the deals, whatever we're currently working on. So far, so good?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Same thing down here. All of this is just the exact same as up here, except it's related to the contact instead of the company. And then I just kind of went through into the lists section, which are our marketing lists. So in MailChimp, if you're familiar with that, it's the segmented lists that they used to have where you could create multiple lists. This one here is actually dynamic though. So we're able to actually go in and create a dynamic or a static list. Static lists are ones that we do an import of all of these companies, and here's the list that kind of outputs from that. A dynamic list allows us to be able to go in and then create dynamic lists that are updated daily, to be able to be filtered by the contact properties, if they had a deal, if we've sent an email in the past 90 days, if we haven't heard from them in 6 months, or whatever the filter options are. And this one here is really similar to the HubSpot lists, if you've messed with that at all.
All right,
Probably
just
the
give me a
most
second.
similar.
You just need to give me a second. Just one moment.
Sure.
Sorry about that. I'm good now.
Yeah, no worries. You're fine.
Yeah,
Is
please
all
go
that
ahead.
making sense so far?
Yeah. Yes. So the template of the email, how exactly that part has been defined? Like we need to even, I guess, if you're having a kind of all the contacts here, and then we want to send the emails to all of them, so we'll have to decide the email template as well.
Yep. And that's just it. So this basically creates the marketing list. But up here is essentially how we would be able to define that. I haven't got to, we'll have a marketing menu item, but I haven't got to that part to build it out yet.
So we'll be even having all the leads to be added as well.
Yeah. So if the list itself will have all of the contacts in it. So the name of the contact itself, the email of that contact, phone number, and that person's owner, as well as the company that's associated to it. So while the company might have a an email address associated with it, it's the contact that would receive the email. So that we'll be able to set up an actual email to specific users. So if a specific user, so like in this case here, contact properties, and then if we did, whoops, sorry. If we actually did activity properties, the contact has not been emailed, or we haven't received an email, there's no activity logged within 90 days, we can use a dynamic list to then be able to send an email saying, hey, don't forget about us, or whatever the case is. Does that make sense?
I guess.
Sorry, I know there's a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, because there were small things which are even, a lot of components, I would say, like once we actually try to make, so we even have to have basically a better flow. The flow, these all the other wireframe makes sense, but the thing is, like, if we can make one flow as well, like during the development process, or before the development process, the flow we actually made for the TILA. So that will make much easier for everyone, and will have minimum rework for this project, because that way actually it will have it will make more sense to the developer, like from here where exactly it needs to bring or needs to go.
Yep. Yeah, and I can do that. One of the things that I'd like to do is to be able to make that process kind of mapped out. But I wanted to talk with you about it to be able to make sure that what's happening in my brain is making sense to be able to actually build out. Because if it doesn't make any sense to you as I'm just kind of briefly explaining it, then it's not going to make sense when we get into the processes and stuff.
No, it makes sense. It's
so
more like what I understood is like basically you want to get rid of all the tools around you're using, and that should be like it's a combination of everything what we are so far using, and just
pretty
trying to
much.
everything on the same place. Either it's a creation of a project or the lead or having all the details of a projects to keep running till the projects get end. So everything what even we are doing on the ClickHub, so it's all most of the things are coming here. So we're just trying to simplify everything, either it's a calendar or anything. So
Mhm.
that's all I guess we are trying to achieve if we talk on overview of the project. But definitely the components, what I need to do is like even I'll go through this with a designer and developer as well here today,
Okay.
and we can mark our questions or we can list down our questions as well. So I guess that would be much better so that we can have better
Okay.
communication on them.
Yeah, and what we can do is we can throw it into um, I don't know, I don't even know what program it would be, but where we can create linked mock-ups. So we can have the mock-up pages themselves, but then we can
Yeah.
say like this button, you click it and then it brings you to this mock-up page or whatever the case is. This project is going to be very, very large.
Yeah.
So I know we're probably going to have to do it in stages.
Yes.
Rather than kind of doing it all at one time. So
That's
I wanted to get your feedback with how you guys work to be able to figure out the most logical way to kind of move forward. So if we leave project out, like I'm happy to continue to use ClickUp, it works great, but eventually we want to kind of merge it into this. The other option as well is instead of rebuilding the entire program, we might be able to just use the ClickUp API to then link to the existing projects, pull in the tasks and that kind of thing. So that's always an option. I'm
that's great. I mean, like
ears
if
as
they
far
do
as
provide API, so that will be much better. Like I'm not sure. Like I
yeah.
didn't see the API, but yeah, if they are providing API, so that will solve the
Yep,
purpose.
ClickUp does an API. Most of the like the calendar and booking stuff, unfortunately, they don't provide an API. But that's yeah, that's kind of where we're at on that. I think that might be the only thing that uses an API that we might be able to use. HubSpot also does an API, so you might be able to use that for the contacts and company portion too. But obviously, the goal is to be able to kind of have everything in one house. And if we have to consistently have our team use a different tool, it doesn't make sense in the long run to use that like that. So I don't know. Figured I'd talk to you and kind of get your thought process on this stuff too.
Network. Got it. Yeah. So yeah, we can base. I guess we can look into the API as well, and that will make more sense because the maximum or the number of APIs we can use. So that will even save the time in terms of like doing the development. The reason is that building everything from scratch may take more time.
Yeah, and
Compared.
I'm fine with that because I mean I think we have it pretty well outlined as far as what we need and how we need it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the some of the things nobody currently does, at least in an all-in-one solution. So we've been looking at the billing portion, and we'll have to get to that when I draw up the mock-ups for those. But the thing that we've run into is our billing system doesn't allow for retainer-based billing, where we can bill per hour. So we have to, in ClickUp, have you track the hours that you've worked on the task, and then we have to assign that task to someone to then add a invoice for the client, but then they have to do the math to be able to figure out how many hours they've already paid for versus how many hours we used, and then calculate that. And there's like a whole bunch of stuff that we do that's pretty specific for the project stuff, that I haven't found a good solution for, which is why we're looking at this. If you know of something, I'm happy to look at that. We've bought licenses for probably 15 different softwares, and nobody really has what we're looking for. There's some places that get close, but nobody that actually has it all.
Right, like if we are always thinking the way we want, so we won't get that, because the thing is like the software which are getting built, it's more like which is commonly get used well or commercially used get well. So it's a bit difficult to find exactly what we needed, because always it's missing the features.
Yep.
That's what even I look. So even like we were before the lockdown, we were trying to build a software which is more like a reporting system in the SEO. Like it is in the SEO, like a lot of freelancers and a lot of small companies are more likely they just use a spreadsheet or the Google Sheets for
Yep.
sending the reports to the clients. So there were a few companies which are working on this, like where they're actually having a complete software, or we can say a system which is completely integrated, where you can link the various API and you can get your report ready, and that to be a very customized report the way you wanted, and having the ranking and everything to be picked up from the APIs, so that the job is quite easy for anyone who is using that, and that to be a very minimum cost per month. So, but
and that's
again,
actually a part of what we want to integrate into this as well.
okay,
So
so
yeah, that's
we built
basically
mock-ups as
one of
well.
those
I'll send you the
things.
mock-ups what we built. The thing
Yep.
is that like even you didn't get like what exactly, but like if when we were thinking like what we want, so we didn't find with such software, like I guess the SEO Majestic or something. Yeah, Majestic was one of the tools, but the project management tool which we are looking into the SEO, I'll send you the link as well sometime. So
Okay. Yeah.
you can take a look, because that even works smoother for the project management, not from the SEO point of view, but a kind of project management tool where building the reports and everything.
Yeah,
So
and that's kind of what we're looking to try and do into this is instead of, and that's one of the things that I have to get to when we do the wireframes for the client side, is the client will be able to log in to their company portal essentially, and then within that they'll be able to add individual websites. Actually, let me just create a new note because it'd be easier to come back to too. So inside, so we'll have the client, right? And then inside of that, they have access to site 1, site 2, site 3, and then inside of the site, they have access to the services. And then inside of the services, we have service 1, service 2, this is SEO, this is server, this is care plan, or whatever the case is. And then inside of each one of these, they have access to their dashboard. So inside of the SEO dashboard, we have a list of all their keywords. We have their rankings. We have the Google Analytics data pulled in, so that on a monthly basis, we don't have to send them a quote unquote report on what's changed. The system will actually automatically do it for us. Same thing with the server portion. We can send them uptime information. We can send them, what the performance is, security issues, broken links for care plan. We can send them, here's all your tasks. These are the hours. This is the updates. These are the change requests that you made, all of that kind of stuff. So they have individual dashboards per website. And this portion alone is highly in demand for smaller web agencies, just to
exactly,
have that portion by itself. So
that's what I was trying to explain. The same thing we were trying to actually get it. You're
yep.
right.
And that's one of the things is there's no service dashboard that exists. It doesn't exist. Nobody's had it yet.
Yeah.
And the few that have attempted it have failed miserably. And this is how how it started, to be able to get it together. But then it only makes sense to be able to integrate in the billing feature. It makes sense to
Correct.
integrate in the projects and all these other things. So it's kind of grown outside of the basics. But I hope you can see the vision of what I'm trying to put together, and maybe we can work
Yes.
together to actually make it a reality. And if
Yes,
you
and
think
like make
that,
more sense, but it will be much better for this project to use more like the existing API, which work best, because we can do from everything from scratch, but that's gonna take long and long time, and the projects which take longer and longer, the interest get lose. It's just because it's taking forever. So it's
sure. Well, I know I'm committed to it at this point, but I completely understand your point of view there. So we'll have to figure out what those APIs are. Um, I know HubSpot's for the contacts. We have, who is that? ClickUp for projects. And we have, what else are we using? Google for the calendar. What are we looking at here? We have grid pane for server, managed WordPress. And then we have, what else is there? SEO. So we need an SEO API. Do you have one that you guys like, or for the SEO side of things?